you have this unique gift to see what people don't see in their business.
I'm good at stripping it back and giving you only what you need to actually achieve the goal that you really want. But there was just so many opportunities people weren't looking at because they were stuck in old ways, not paying attention to what the possibilities were. I want to see the big picture. I want there to be longevity.
I think you've just found the true enthusiast hack.
Is it better to be patient and slower and grow the business more sustainably to have a longer lasting business? Or are you chasing the short-term money? And when you do that and you say like, wait, I can have all these things, or I can try to have all these things, completely different conversations open up.
All right, well, this is a fun conversation today. I actually get to sit down with Kara Duffy, who is, many things. She is the founder of Kara Duffy Coaching and Consulting. She runs the Powerful Ladies podcast. She's a friend of mine. She's been a client of mine for almost 5 years now, so I kind of know all the inside scoop, but I'm going to try to stay away from the landmines as far as questions are concerned. But Kara, I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is fun.
I'm excited to talk to you in this context.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you have such a wealth of information to share as far as business coaching is concerned. As far as like Powerful Ladies and your past experience, I'm always hounding you about talking more about your past experience and the amazing things you've done at some of the big companies that we'll talk about. So this is your chance. Pull it all out of you.
Well, I think that for any small business owner, when you are starting out, you are thinking so much about helping other people that you forget what you've done.
Yes.
You forget what other people want to know about you that make you unique or extraordinary. I often talk about like, what's the unicorn version of you? And I forget that these things I've done are cool because they're just part of my life. Mm-hmm. So when I say that I've worked at Puma or worked with Ferrari, people go, wait, what? And I'm like, oh, I forgot. That is unique.
Yes.
So thank you for always pushing me to pull out not just where I've worked and the names I've worked with, but the results that I've produced for my clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always say, well, I'm like, you play small sometimes because you don't give yourself enough credit for what you've done and what you've accomplished. And so it's a constant battle of like recognizing yourself for what you've done. And a lot of people aren't comfortable with that, giving themselves credit.
Well, and I think it also goes back to being so focused on my clients. Like I spend 99% of my time about them and their businesses and how they can win, that when someone goes like, well, what have you done this week? And I'm like, oh, well, I was on calls and I was on Zooms. And I'm like, hold on, what did we actually do in those calls and Zooms? Mm-hmm. Oh, we made $1 million business out of thin air, or we helped someone double their revenue. Then it's like, oh yeah, I need to remember to give myself credit. There's that done list that people do at the end of the day, like what you've achieved and accomplished. And sometimes it includes, I took a shower today, but I have to remember to put those wins that I'm helping clients unpack as well.
Yeah, the specifics.
Yeah. It's a big deal, the work that we're doing, and I'm really proud of it. And so I need to also remember to remind myself what those facts and figures are.
Yeah, I'll remind you.
Thank you.
But let's talk a little bit about that. From a history standpoint,
Sure.
You came from a place of working in great corporations, making substantial changes and growth in individual product lines for them. I mean, Take us back a little bit to your Ferrari days, your Puma days.
So when I was at Puma, I went there to work on all their kids' footwear. And then I transitioned into head of their motorsports group. So when we were there, I remember applying and doing this crazy presentation of what I would do for their entire kids universe. And the guy who ended up hiring me goes, love your presentation, love your enthusiasm. None of that will most likely happen, which is, as you and I have talked, the worst thing to tell me, because now we're just dedicated to making those things happen. Mm-hmm. And I'm really proud of the fact that we not only took the kids' business from like 350,000 pairs to 18 million pairs when I was there, but we also had all these back-end operation savings. Like kid sizing, if anyone knows footwear, is insane. It's basically their entire life. Mm-hmm. It's a million sizes, a lot of inventory, a lot of SKU management. and not to look at how could we make it easier for the customer and the buyer as well as the retailer. So even fun projects like that. Working in the motorsports division, I am sad that I didn't stay there long enough to do a lot of the cool things, like get to go to a Formula One race. But getting to go to the museums and sit in the cars and just be a part of Ferrari and Ducati, and did a lot of work with BMW. Again, we're helping these brands position themselves with who a new or ideal target consumer is. Mm-hmm. And it's the storytelling component. It's very similar to like working with clients now, like how do we mine the stories that people are going to care about that allow you to take the soul of your brand and allow a person to like own a piece of it through a product. It's all that relationship building. Yeah.
So I feel like people are listening going, wait, you did this this footwear line at Puma, and it was like 13,000. Is that what you said? Pairs to like 18 million. Yeah. Like you classic Kara, like you kind of just
jumped right over
blow right over that. Like it's no big deal. And I feel like that's so much of the magic that you bring to your clients. So break that down for me. Like what exactly, do you do in that the person who's listening and going, oh, wait, I have a product-based business. Like what the heck did you do to make that happen?
Well, I think if I use the kids at Puma as an example, when I got there, it was doing healthy business, but it was very much treated like the stepchild of all the categories. It was much cooler to work in lifestyle or running on the football boots. Like there were much sexier categories to work on than kids. I came from a background in working in kids footwear prior. I started off in footwear at Stride Right, huge kids brand. And there they did such a great job of reminding us, like, what's the magic in this shoe for the kid, the end consumer. And kids at age 3 start buying and making all their choices, whether we realize it or not. Mom might say what the store should be and what the price point is, but they're making all the buying choices. And so we really push to look at where's the magic, what's the story you can tell. Kids notice everything as well. So if you put an eyeball on something in a hidden place, they're going to find it and discover it and be so excited. So I came in being so excited to work on this kids product because not only could we take down amazing styles from the adult collections, we had a whole playground of leaning in on what Puma stood for in regards to creativity and streetwear and being different and unique, where we had a lot of free reign to make whatever felt cool. So I went in excited to talk to this customer, excited to showcase that customer with the honor they deserved, where so often they were treated like the kid in the corner, like, oh, just ignore them. Like, what's the cool stuff we can talk about? So there was a lot of just money left on the table because we weren't treating it like a sexy customer. And so going in and putting together new stories, bringing in the fun colors, getting rid of the baby blue and the baby pink, like vomit. I never want to see those things in kids' products. It's so just old fashioned.
Yeah.
So how can we bring energy and life to it? And I got so much pride when we would make a new product and the adult group said, we want to take that up to the adult line. But it was like coming in with energy and passion to say, like, where's the business opportunity? There's more kids on the planet than most other demographics of adults. So how can we be building relationships for what Puma meant to expand into a bigger marketplace? So we paid attention to it. We actually did market research. We really went in with a creative approach and then kept saying, well, what if we were bigger than the adult categories? One of the most embarrassing moments I ever had was going into one of my first big like data line plan meetings. We were showing all of our numbers and I was the last to go because we were kids and we were always last. But I presented my numbers and my boss started laughing at me. And I'm like, oh no, what did I do wrong? Did I not triple check? What happened? He's like, there's no way these numbers are right. If they're right, you would become 35% of our total business. And I was like, damn it. Okay, I'll go back. I'll fix them. I went back. I'm like, no, my numbers are right. Sure enough, a year later, we were 35% of the business.
Wow.
Nobody believed me that it was possible. but there was just so many opportunities people weren't looking at because they were stuck in old ways, not paying attention to what the possibilities were. So I do think when I'm working with a product-based business, we're looking at, is your pricing where it should be? Is there room to be more profitable? We weren't charging enough for some of these great kid shoes. Then it goes into, are you looking at all the customers you could have? Are you telling stories that are fun and unique to really capture what they want as well? Like it's honestly just giving a brand love and not being in panic mode usually.
Well, and it sounds like there's a tremendous amount of passion in that. Like as you talk about it, you have excitement around the creativity, around coming up with those ideas, thinking outside the box, which I think goes a long way in product development.
Yes.
And telling the story and such. So I want to talk about all that when we get into kind of your client business. But what happened? I mean, it sounds like an ideal job. It sounds like you're having fun. You're making great progress. You're probably getting recognition. But somewhere you decided to branch off and go, I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to be a business coach and consultant.
Yeah, I worked in footwear and apparel for 20 years. And I loved it. I got to travel the world, work with cool people, work on cool brands. I was just getting bored. Like I was doing it. I'm like, there has to be more. And after a while, like I'm just repeating the same things over and over. Be like, oh, okay, magic wand, this brand, magic wand, that brand, which is fine. And then after a while, you're like, and now what? So I started going to product development, workshops, classes, like anything for me to help figure out what was next. And whether I stayed in that industry or evolved, like I knew I was meant for more or something next. And I was at one of these conferences and everyone had this amazing idea about how to save the planet and homeless and whatever their passion project was. But Sunday afternoon, they were all having a panic attack. And I was like, what are you guys freaking out about? They go, we have no idea how to go from idea to reality. And I went, oh, well, I don't know what my ideal singular passion is, but I can help you guys all do that. So I started coaching nonprofits on the side and realizing what a gap there was to bring my both personality and my experience working from startups to huge international companies to help these heart-centered people who want to change the world actually allow it to happen. So then in 2018, I went full time. I pivoted also to working with for-profit companies. And now I know that my passion is just to help people who care and really want to make a positive impact also profit and make money doing that versus have it be this hobby that they can never lean in on because they haven't set it up correctly. So if I can help people align with their passions and turn that into a profitable business, like nothing makes me happier. I love helping people retire their day job and build teams that they want to, because most people don't think that what they really care about can be how they earn a living.
Very true, right? It sometimes feels so close to our heart and so much passion that it's like, how does that become profitable? Which you're really good at figuring out. You have a special place in your heart, though, it seems like, and maybe I'm wrong, but this is what I deduct from talking to you all the time and working with you. Like for these businesses that they're starting, right? They don't know where to go, or even more so, the creativity ones. Yeah. Which is funny because we've had this conversation, like creatives are a whole nother bunch of people to work with.
They are. And I'm proud to say I'm a design school dropout. So after my MBA, it was in entrepreneurship. I thought I would just keep my, t-shirt company going that I had in college. I wasn't getting funding, had to move back to my parents' house. And when I was there, I went to design school for a semester and a half while I was applying for work. But I got over wanting to be a fashion designer when I realized that they have no actual authority. The people who are actually deciding what we wear and what it looks like are the strategic project managers and product managers. I'm like, well, I want to be the boss no matter what I'm doing. So I was in a role for 20 years where I was constantly briefing and working with creatives to get what we needed. And I love collaborating with them. I really honor the place they come from because they're so committed to, again, the soul of the idea.
Right.
And the brand.
I hear that now. Your soul connected to their soul about the passion of their business.
Yes. Yeah.
And you have this unique gift to see what people don't see in their business.
Yes. I think it's a unique gift for seeing the possibility in people in general, which can be dangerous in dating life, but great as a business coach.
Well, let's make that our next topic.
But it's true. Like whether it is a professional skateboarder or runner or this artist that we are collaborating with, so often companies remove the soul out of their businesses because they get away from why they started and their origin idea, and they get away from all these great creatives they've asked to come and participate with them, and it becomes all about numbers and operations. And when it is a small business, even they can get off what their why was and what, the vision they saw of bringing all their favorite things together to make it work. So nothing makes me crazier than having this great collaborator and then not allowing them to give you the gold that they're here to give you and turning it too quickly into a commercial-based product. So whether it's a startup who's not realizing what their amazing gold is that they can mine, or it's a bigger company that's kind of gotten away from it, I'm able to be a translator between the creative geniuses in the group and the CFOs in the group, so we can come to a place where everybody wins versus chasing the money and then it's guaranteed to cycle out. I've seen it happen to so many companies I've worked with.
So when you think about that, like it sounds like you're telling me that the founders, the CEOs, even on a small level, right?
Yeah.
They lose sight of that, why they get caught up even on the small scale of money, right?
Yes.
Because you got to have money to make your business work, and you get into that scarcity mindset sometimes about payroll or staff or anything. So what is that like for people when you're working with them? Where do you see them get hung up on the money side that pulls them away from the passion?
I think it's twofold. It's freaking out when you haven't waited long enough for the plan to go into effect. And you either never made a plan or you made $1 million plan and you're on month 2 and you're freaking out because it's not happening yesterday when you built a whole year worth of plans. I also see it when investors come in, when there are shareholders, when there's very aggressive growth goals and you're making choices to get the short-term quick money, and you're not thinking about, if I take that short-term opportunity, how am I impacting the long-term status of the business? Using again the footwear world as an example, it's easy to get a really big order from someone like a famous footwear. Do you want that? Because how is it going to shift how your brand shows up in the marketplace? Is it better to be patient and slower and grow the business more sustainably to have a longer lasting business? Or are you chasing the short-term money? So there's a huge trends happening where the founders of a lot of athletic sportwear and action sports brands are buying them back. They cashed out, people ran after the money, and now they're like, hold on, we have to come back to those core customers again. So I'm buying my business back again, which I don't think has happened historically in how businesses have been sold. But it's because those people were the creatives who cared about that customer, and it's gotten so far off track that they are coming back in to bring it back in alignment.
Interesting. So for the person listening that's going, I have this passion, but yes, I'm kind of drifting off there. What is that? I mean, I definitely heard patience in there. What are the things that you recommend for them to do to get back into that place of passion?
Often I'm asking my clients, why did you start this? And did you include everything you wanted in this business? Often we start a business because we have an idea and we can help this customer do this one thing. And I'm like, well, what else is there? So we have a big conversation about opening up their scope. Like if you step back, like what are you missing that's right next to you that you could be including? If you would love to have a dream team, if you'd love to have your office by the beach, like it can sound unrelated, but all of these things add up to really making a business that works for you and that can pull out more of the core values, which you always are coaching on, that make it a better business for everyone. How I help clients double their revenue isn't necessarily by chasing after new clients. It's making more thoughtful choices about what products and what clients you want to have in the first place that allow you to be more fulfilled in a lot of different ways. It's, I have my have it all method, and that's where it comes from. Like, if you could have it all in this business, let's put everything that sounds crazy on the table, because there's things that you're leaving off in your current business plans that are keys to more rapid, sustainable growth than you probably currently have in your plan.
So for the have it all, right?
Yeah.
Everyone doesn't have it all.
Yes.
And you probably experienced that with some clients where you're just kind of like...
There's a lot of clients who I just wait patiently for them to accept my advice.
Right. That they pay you for, right? You're like, why?
Yeah.
But what gets in the way?
They don't believe it's possible. There's a psychologist out of Harvard who has all these studies about if you believe something's possible, whether it's having cancer, not having cancer,
right,
having $1 million, not, like, it will, whatever you believe is going to come true. And most people haven't been given the space to say anything is possible. What do you want? I feel really lucky that I was both raised for my family and worked in companies where they wanted you to imagine the unimaginable. And when you do that and you say, like, wait, I can have all these things, or I can try to have all these things, completely different conversations open up. Whether you don't think you can charge this much, or you don't think you can have a team of 100 people, but people are not putting what they really want into their business, whether it's money or time freedom, whether it's working with friends and family, whether it is having multiple businesses even. So for anyone who's listening, chances are there's something you really want that you've left out of your business plan. What if it could include everything?
What if?
Yeah.
Play that game.
Yeah. And there's so many stereotypes of what we think we can't have in a business. Like, we can't have the team. We can't be mothers and run a business. I've had multiple clients who have taken maternity leave the first year of their business, which is bananas when I tell people that. But really, anything you want can be put on paper and a plan created, and we just need to execute against it. And we can't have our sisters all, our competitors all. Like, it really has to be so authentic to you, and it will evolve. But we have to start with, what's the saying? Like, shoot for Mars, land on the moon, or something like
that.
However,
shoot for the stars, land on the clouds. I don't know. Shoot for the clouds, and I don't know. They always get me.
But it's really about going as big as you can in the ideation phase.
Yeah.
And none of my clients, when I've worked with them, have ever put enough plan into the strategy component. They rush right to selling something. And I'm like, is that what you wanted to sell? Do you want to have to keep selling that and offering it? So taking more time in the strategy, in the spreadsheets of mapping everything out, whatever you want, I can show you how to get it on a spreadsheet. Even dating, back to that. You want my LinkedIn dating strategy? You can have it.
We're gonna get into dating, because I feel like there's a reason why it keeps being brought up. We'll get there in a second.
Sure.
But when you think about those clients, I'm learning this not for the first time, but I'm kind of connecting a different dots for you in a sense of, like, you're enthusiast. I'm always all over the Enneagram.
Yeah.
And what a gift to be able to sit down with somebody that is going to, like, take you all over the place of the possibilities. So, when you think about coaching, what do you think the special things are that you bring to the table from your personality as a coach for your clients?
I am completely optimistic. I really do believe that anything is possible. I'm really good at seeing opportunities, possibilities, combinations that other people don't see, partly because they haven't been exposed to it, or they're stuck in whatever perspective they've been allowing themselves to have up to that point. I'm really good at removing the junk. One of the stats we talk about a lot is how I help people remove about 80% of their to-do list normally, because we're doing so many things that have nothing to do with our business. We're really good at finding things that other people are doing that I'm like, oh, I want that result they have. But they have a totally different business, totally different lifestyle, totally different consumer group. So we end up putting a lot of work into our business that we don't need to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good at stripping it back and giving you only what you need to actually achieve the goal that you really want, not the goals you thought you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And also just helping people make a plan. It's really hard to see what the full possibilities are for our own businesses because we're so close to it. That's why I need you. Because I have the same issue myself of being like, I am right here. It is right against my face. I cannot read what's on this piece of paper. Can you help me step back?
Mm-hmm.
And as especially female business owners, we don't separate things. Like our whole life is a swirl of all the things that we have to get done in a day. And in that swirl, we can forget which ones matter more sometimes. What parts of the business, what parts of our lives. So I think I'm good at helping people also prioritize what they need to do right now, because we can't do it all at once.
Sure.
So how do we break it down into bite-sized phases? You can do this now, then we need a team. Once you have a team, we can expand to the next thing. I think those are some of them.
That's a lot of them for sure. But you brought up something important there about saying, sometimes you can't even see it yourself. And
yeah,
I want people to understand that, right? I have a coach.
Yeah.
You have a coach, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But you really are like, when you're in it, you can say all these things, all the pieces to think about your business, to create the numbers, the passion, all of that.
Yeah.
But yet you still need an external sounding board, coach,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a coach and a community, and maybe multiple coaches, depending on what you're up to.
Sure.
But I never feel more dumb than when I come to you, we have a great session, and I go, she told me to do exactly what I just told 10 other people to do, but I can't hear it myself because I'm not thinking about it that same way. Like, it's like you helped me change my orientation back to my own business and back to, again, those core values that I have. Like, I want to see the big picture. I want there to be longevity. And the questions you ask are profound in how sometimes simple they are, where I'm like, yes, I do know how to do that. Thank you. Thank you. Like, sometimes I feel like you're just like taking the blindfold off because it was all right there. I just couldn't see it. Mm-hmm.
It's funny how that happens, isn't it?
Yes.
But also the way you say it, like, it becomes that simple, right?
Yes.
And then you walk away and you take action.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really what I want people to hear, as their understanding from a coach perspective, like what you have the ability to bring to the table for somebody and why you're so impactful in their business.
Yeah, it's so much beyond accountability.
Oh yeah, that drives me crazy when people are like, well, I really need someone for accountability. I don't love to be anyone's accountability partner. I want to empower you with your own accountability.
Yes.
And it really isn't about that. If it was just about getting it done, there's many ways that you can do that, but there's usually something in the way of you actually taking that action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's also like, I have training in life coaching. I have training in financial, like budgeting, personal things. I have to bring all of that to the table to work on someone's business because we have to get the business owner out of the way. Like, my business works or doesn't work because of me. Mm-hmm. Usually I am preventing it from going where it needs to go, which is why I call you in a panic about how to fix something. But we bring our whole life to our business. Like that awful phrase of it's not personal, it's business. No, it's very personal.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And especially for an entrepreneur, like your whole life is surrounded by this idea of it working or not working. So it's very personal.
Yeah.
And when you're bringing your values and your passion and your connections and relationships to it, it's personal at a level that I don't think a corporate career can ever get close to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I would agree. And it's intertwined, right?
Yeah.
You have to be able to address both of those. So you have a podcast, Powerful Ladies.
Yes.
What sparked that for you to have conversations with a powerful lady every single week?
Well, so when I moved here, I moved from Germany, and I really missed this amazing group of women I was friends with there. And a lot of my great friends were spread across the world at this point, and everyone I know who's a powerful lady wants more fun, wants to make an impact, and to be more connected. So it started by getting women together once a year to do a charity-based event. And as I would ask women to be a part of this, I often would get, I'm not powerful. And I was like, wait, what? Like, I've already knighted you. I've told you that you're powerful. And I realized that there was such a gap in women having examples of what power looked like at every different stage of life. And that being powerful didn't mean you were done. Like, so many people are like, oh, well, Oprah's powerful, so I'm not. I'm like, yeah, but how long has Oprah been powerful for?
Right.
Like, she's had to be powerful to even take that first step. So I really wanted to showcase all of these women doing incredible things, carving their own path, so that other people could not only see what they're doing, but hear how they're operating on a regular basis to step into their own power. I feel really lucky that I've had a 10 out of 10 day. I know what it feels like. It might be fleeting, but I now know what I can chase. And I want to give other people in general, and women in particular, a chance to go after that 10 and have permission to do it.
So what have you taken away most from all those? I mean, how many seasons, how many episodes do you have?
I mean, we're coming up on 300 soon.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, the biggest takeaway for me is just that there's so many amazing people out there. The list, we could have this podcast be going on for beyond my lifetime.
Right,
we
eternity, right?
Cannot catch all the incredible stories there are to tell. But every powerful lady I've talked to is giving, wants to help, wants to pay it forward. They are crushing it in their neighborhood, their community, their job to really make a difference. It gives me so much hope and faith that 99% of the human population is doing good work. And if we spent any of our immediate attention on that, how could we shift what the perspective is of the entire world? Like, I know how much pressure I put on myself to be making as much of an impact positively as I can. And it can be stressful sometimes. You know how hard of a grader I am on myself. So when I'm like, am I making an impact? I'm like, well, I haven't spoken at the UN yet, so probably not. But then I talk to these women, I'm like, oh, well, she's spoken at the UN. Like, okay, she's got that covered. You've got saving the whales. Okay. I feel like we're dividing and conquering the full to-do list that women have to fix when we all together. So we don't have to be responsible for all 1 million things that need to be solved. Like, we're dividing and conquering in powerful ways.
Give your own little Marvel superhero group over there.
Yeah. I think the next evolution is like, what's our think tank look like?
I never knew your perspective on that. I'm glad you feel like you have a powerful lady in every area that is taking care of business.
Well, and that's why when I meet people, I'll say, like, come to me for the weird question. I probably know someone. Like, what do you need? Chances are I can find someone who can help you.
I think you've just found the true enthusiast hack. I can't do it all, but I can know somebody who's doing it and live vicariously through them as she's saving whales or, whatever aspect it may be that they're doing.
And when I want to come and hang out and try that on for a day, I can be like, can I come on the boat? I want to save whales for the day. Not forever, just
good.
Today.
I'm good now. Okay, perfect. That filled that little itch, that scratch, and I'm back onto business over here. Yeah. Speaking of that, you have an interesting ability to, one, be an enthusiast and be all over the place, but also zone in, creative, but super analytical, like with your reports and your spreadsheets. Yes. We share a gift in loving to get in the spreadsheets.
They're just so good.
I know. I told a client the other day, I was like, I mean, look, I could spend 8 hours in QuickBooks and spreadsheets. It's really not the best use of my time, but like, I do love it in there, It's
so rewarding when it's all neat and tidy.
Yes. So I know people are listening going, ugh, that is like the worst part of things. So I want to bring out some real tactical things for people to hear and take away from you, because you have all this knowledge and you give away a lot for free too.
Yeah.
You're always speaking somewhere, and we'll talk about some of the events you have coming up. But what's the number one thing people should do when they're creating their business?
Lists, and make them in a spreadsheet so that you can actually do something with them when you have them. The answer to every business problem is you need a list. Who should I call for a CPA? Go make a list of CPAs in your area. Who do I need to run my business? Go make a list of all the people that you know. What clients have you talked to? Make a list of all the intro calls you've had. Like, we have so many resources that we have right now today. Even right now, if someone has a business idea, they have so many resources they're not tapping into because they're not making a list of all the people they know. What do those people they know do? Who have I talked to? Who do I need to follow up with? What are all the conferences I could speak at? Like, I think my clients joke now, they're like, the answer is going to be a list or a spreadsheet, isn't it? And it is, because if we make a list in a spreadsheet, then we can track it. We can go get it done. We can create an action plan against those steps. Pricing, all the costs you have. Have you made a list of all the costs that go into your product? So spreadsheets are magical, and I take a lot of pride in converting creatives to loving spreadsheets who first told me, like, I'd never even used one before. And I have a client who's a fine artist the other day that was like, did you put that in the spreadsheet? Like, they were on me about it. So
Did you show them like all the colors and fonts you could use and make it creative?
Yes.
Like, it's got to be like, there should be a creative spreadsheet out there, to really engage people.
Yes. If the colors change, when the numbers change, they get very excited.
Yeah. Okay. What's the biggest mistake business owners make?
The biggest mistake I see business owners making is they are not capturing all of their costs. So if they have a product, they're missing either the cost for shipping or the shipping box. Like, there's a cost missing. If it is a service-based business, they're 9 times out of 10 forgetting to put their own time into what something costs.
So numbers in general, I feel like that's what I run into. There's a big, like, ignorance is bliss kind of in the numbers department. Just keep making money and And what I love about the numbers part is that it's like creating a map for going on a trip. The numbers, you adjust the numbers and you can go from making $10,000 to making $1 million. And I'll joke that, like, your dream life is 2 inches away because it's 2 columns over from the first column you made. So we're not putting the real numbers in and working through them all the way to get to the end result we want. That's huge.
I'm all spreadsheet happy now.
Yeah, I know. I see you getting flustered over there, which brings me to dating. So we're going to put out there that you are available,
and on the market.
I feel like that's why this got brought into this conversation.
Well, I also really believe that a lot of business is like dating.
Yeah.
You can't walk up to somebody that you've never met and be like, hey, let's get married. Like, that's weird. It's also weird to walk up to someone and say, hey, buy from me. You're like, who are you, psychopath? Like, for either of those statements. So there's a lot of correlations between business and dating. Our love languages. If your love language isn't in your business, it's not going to work.
Explain that.
Okay, so mine is acts of service, one of them. And the second one's word of affirmations. Of course, I'm a business coach. Every day I get to love on all of my clients in the way that I express love. And so often you'll find someone running a business where they never get to share their natural love language with their clients and customers. And so it never feels as rewarding. Somebody today I was talking to wants to start providing meal services for new moms. And I had to ask them, would you be okay working in a kitchen, never seeing the customer and shipping out products? Or do you imagine yourself delivering it? And they're like, why are you asking that? I'm like, well, what is your actual love language? Because if you want to have that connection and be with the person and have quality time, we have to change your business model versus I just like that I'm serving them from afar.
Right.
And so it just keeps going. I have a whole workshop about businesses like dating, which I usually do in February, but there's a lot of correlations and we have to just you would never get married before you don't talk to someone 7 to 21 times. Same with a marketing message, 7 to 21 touches before they're a customer, before you get a date, before you move in together. Like there's lots of analogies we can make, but that's the biggest one.
I love that. The tip about the love language is really cool.
Yeah.
So for those people that are listening, it's like you can take that online for
Yes.
free, the love language assessment. Figure out what your love language is, whether it's acts of service, words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch.
Usually not that one's not
I was
applied
like,
to
wait
business.
a second. I mean, I feel like maybe if you're a massage therapist, but it still feels like it crosses the line. I don't know.
Yes.
Delete, no physical touch. What's the other one?
Words of affirmation,
Gifts.
acts of gifts.
Gifts. Yeah. I like that one. You see my eyes light up around that.
You give great gifts too.
I love gift giving. I don't do it as much as I used to. And it's something I've been thinking about, like, because I really, really love to give gifts. But it doesn't always have to mean like, you know, a big, drastic or expensive present. You know, like I like to bring people a piece of chocolate, like anything, like here, you know.
And when we were at your conference, the Get Intentional, Randy Garn was talking about how he does business.
Yes.
I was like, gifts.
Gifts, yeah.
He gives gifts all the time.
Right.
His entire brand is on the gifts he gives people.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's ever thought about it that way.
Right. Or Randy Garn, if you're listening. Kara's got some information for you.
I'll send him a DM. But you could really see that how he interacts with people is what lights him up.
Sure.
And I think that's what we forget about, like, it's us and people all the time. Even if you have an Amazon shop, probably like giving gifts if you have an Amazon shop, but it's like another Enneagram to run your business behind.
Right. Absolutely. And giving gifts isn't necessarily a physical thing either, right?
Correct.
Like he does a lot of the gift giving as, you know, knowledge, as a connection, something like that. Okay. So we totally got, I mean, we're still on dating, but we kind of got sidetracked here. So you say that there's a lot of similarities, but you also mentioned a second ago about a LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah. So I probably shouldn't be sharing this in a public forum because I'm sure there's some like AI that I could be capitalizing on about this. But I feel like all the dating apps are awful. They're awful. Like if all business is based on trust and authority and having an introduction, like it's not who you know, it's who knows you. And it's who can refer you. Most people, this makes me crazy, jump right into very complex digital marketing plans when you can probably get more than you need sales-wise just by using direct selling in your network. And dating's the same way. And so I feel much more comfortable going on LinkedIn, finding someone that looks interesting and asking them for a coffee than using Bumble because I don't know who we're connected to. I don't know if this person actually has a job. Half the time on Bumble, people aren't smiling. Do you have teeth? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I just think that there's power of like the same way that we need to use our networks to expand our business, we can use our networks to expand our dating potential.
That's interesting.
So I'll start a LinkedIn dating business on the side.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Sure.
Because the first thing I think of is like, you know something about somebody.
Yeah.
And like somebody's like, hey, what about John? I see you're connected to John. I was going to ask him for coffee. You know, I'm thinking about, you know, he seems interesting to me.
Yeah.
And you know something, right? It's like, now you're in this position where you're like, John's a nice guy. But, you know.
Well, what's interesting is that I haven't asked anyone to do an intro for me. I just go out and say, hey, we should talk for blah, blah, blah reasons. Let's meet. Because I do that with people that I don't want to date also. But I haven't asked for a middleman yet.
Yeah, that's where it gets a little dicey for me. I think we need, you know, kind of like a...
red flag, green flags.
Well, you really went with the red too. I was thinking just some kind of like badge of like...
Yeah.
This one's okay. But then it gets a little weird, right? We're like, hey, how come you didn't give me that badge? They have that, right? In like the skills.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you just talk to them and get something put on like dating.
Oh, that's true.
Dating qualifications.
5-star rating.
Yeah. But I think there is something like that in a dating app somewhere where you got to say something about somebody on the date.
There should be more of them.
Yeah.
Because I would love to review the people I've talked to. And some of them might be like, no, this is a great guy, just not for me.
Yeah.
Others
yeah.
I'm like, didn't even show up. So don't waste your time, ladies.
Yeah. Here's what you need to know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm confident that when this podcast gets out there and the guy's out there, the creative guy out there who's like, man, she's smart, she's beautiful, she knows her business, but she's creative and
she could help me run my business.
Help me run my business. Yes. And she loves words of affirmation and acts of service. I mean, there you go.
10 out of 10, guys. 10 out of 10. I look forward to your DMs getting flooded at this point.
That's right. She can be reached at.
We'll be getting to that, I'm sure.
That's right. Exactly. What else, Kara? I mean, like, I could go down so many different roads with you, from business to extraordinary life. What's important for people to know?
You know, you mentioned the tagline we have, which is a ridiculous and extraordinary life.
Yes.
And I think you and I also share a philosophy that life is a bunch of games that we get to make. And while there are parts of life that we should honor and respect and treat seriously, like, why aren't we having fun? Mm-hmm. My 4 things in my Thrive-based approach to coaching is more money, more fun, more freedom, more impact. And we miss the fun part all the time. Mm-hmm. It's so hard. Like, we must have more money and we must have more clients and we must have more self-care and we must eat right. Like, I feel like life right now is so much about measuring and tracking and controlling and limiting. And you know me, I'm like, I love to burn something down and run away and go live on an island and be like, that's dumb, we're not doing that. But I want people to remember that we're here to have fun. And if you're not having fun, like, that's a good reason to call you or I, because we can help point you in that direction of, why aren't you? Mm-hmm. And, you know, we had a whole conversation in my last session with you about values and how they can evolve and get hidden. And I was laughing at myself because one of the values you pointed out to me, I'm like, oh, well, I do that every day. I forgot it was a value. Like, didn't have to pay attention to it anymore.
Right.
But there's that fun element of, are you really filling up your cup? Are you going on the trips you want? Are you working this hard to get what you want out of life? Or are you just working hard to work hard? Yeah. I just think it's such a waste of everyone's talent and brains and imagination. There's a lot of room to look at life and our businesses and be enchanted and find all this cool, amazing magic that either we've created or other people have contributed. But, like, just how can you have more fun?
I love that thought. It's like running through my mind going, it's interesting you say this, because in my journal, my morning mindset journal, there's a place on there. It's like, where did you find joy?
Yeah.
And every day I write something. And for the first time today, I was reflecting on yesterday and I was like, where did I find joy? And I was like, oh. And I literally had to write. I just wrote down in there, I'm not sure I did. I was like, oh, shoot. Ruh-roh, you know? So I really had to think about, like, and it made me go through my day yesterday and go, okay, well, yes, I did these things, you know, and I got my values in, but, like, did I really extract joy? And you say fun, but joy, you know, in the same emotion category, right? Like, did I really extract it from those experiences, or where didn't I take responsibility to put that in my, it's literally the first time I didn't have something to write. It's very bizarre. Now we're having this conversation, but it's just so important, you know, that you have to be intentional about creating that.
Yeah. And, or even just leaving room for it.
Yeah.
That 8 spheres of life I use with clients that, you know, I've talked about, there's a whole section of, like, how much have I been allowed myself to be curious and explore things? Have I just walked a different route with my dog? It's amazing how there's a statistic that I use in my habits workshop about how 99% of what we do in a day, or 90% of what we do in a day is a repeat behavior. And again, coming from so many creatives, they would have a heart attack if that was their recurring state. But so many of us just fall into the productivity train when there's no room to be surprised, get bored, explore. Last weekend, I got bored, like really bored for the first time in so long. And instantly all these things open up in my business. I'm like, I need to get bored more often. Like,
Right.
it's such a great tool that we do not use.
Get bored.
Yeah. Get bored, have fun.
Get bored. I like it.
Call me about your spreadsheet later.
That's right. This coming from the girl who says you love to measure and track everything,
I do.
you know, but that's the enthusiast, right? Little this, little that.
Yeah.
All that good stuff.
I'm also very much a Libra in that way.
Now you lost me.
Oh,
I couldn't even begin to tell you what a Libra is, who they are, and what they do.
It's
unless
the
I
scales.
described you.
It's
it's
balance.
the scales.
So
okay.
yes, I can be creative and I need the spreadsheet. Yes, I can be really focused. Like being focused is not a problem for me, but I can also want to be like, ooh, let's do everything.
Gotcha. I was like, what does a Libra look like? I was thinking it was an animal. I was like, I've never.
No, we're like I think we're the only inanimate object on the entire chart. Like
that says something.
It does.
For another conversation. Okay, so everyone's listening and now they're going, how do I get a piece of Kara? Sorry for that terminology because it might be on dating or it might be a client. I don't know, you all.
It applies to all at this point.
It applies to all. So regardless of what you're looking for.
Yes, Mom. Yes, this is where the podcast went. You're welcome.
You work with people in groups. You work with people one-on-one. You have an event going on at the
Noya House
coming
Venice.
up. Yeah. What date is that?
This Thursday.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
there'll be another one.
Sorry, you're going to miss this one, you all. Stay tuned for future ones.
Yeah.
But my point is there's so many different ways to get in touch with you, so many different ways to work with you, hear you speak, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So direct them to
KaraDuffy.com has everything. We add in a whole event section up top so you can see that and see everything we're doing. And then Instagram's also great. Kara_Duffy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So check her out. Tune in. She puts all sorts of free content out there, workshops, all that good stuff. So if you know somebody else who might need a little Kara in their life, make sure you forward this episode and share it with somebody else. Thanks for coming on, Kara.
Thank you so much. We need more of these mutually beneficial conversations versus me just taking everything from you.
Oh, please. See, there's the acts of service.
Yes.
Yes, I hear it. No, this was fantastic. It was a good conversation and we had fun.
Yes, we did. This was the best part of my day so far. Thank you.
So tomorrow when I get into the journal, I'll be able to write exactly what brought me joy. Awesome. Thanks.